John Arvos is here, Washington, D.C. Hope everybody's fine. Woo! Uh-oh. I see foreign language talk in the comments. I hope I'm not in trouble. All right, guys, let me get TikTok joining us now, too. Beep, 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 beep. All right. Just waiting for the first TikToker. Hey, Greg. There we go. Amanda, you're first again. I don't know how you pull that off. Maybe because I don't even know how it works for you. Hey, guys. Welcome, TikTokers, Facebookers, YouTubers, Twitterers, LinkedIners, and my Star Trek shirt. I know. I like that. I like the Star Trek. I found that I had to wash it several times, and now it's comfortable. It was a little itchy at first, and I finally had the epiphany about washing it. Radoslav, hello. You're on Facebook this time. I didn't remember if you were on Twitter the other on YouTube or what. Becky, hey to you as well. Oh, all right, guys. As always, let's take a couple minutes to just have everybody introduce yourselves. We can this way it gives. Oh, those are new, Poppy. Haven't seen those before. That was very funny. Oh, and my laundry is done. But yeah, we take the bonsoir. We take the first couple of minutes just to have folks introduce themselves while we're waiting for TikTok and YouTube to notify people. So we'll do that. Thank you. I know this is my favorite little Star Trek shirt. It's probably, well, it's my only little Star Trek shirt, but it's also my favorite little Star Trek shirt. Thank you, Amanda, for that. Amanda Bear just became a top 2 viewer. Woo! Flowerland. Oh, they're Pride glasses. I was wondering about that. I wasn't sure. Wait, so you guys did or didn't get the... Thank you, Samantha. Those are cute. You guys did or didn't get the notifications on TikTok today, at least? Hopefully. Thank you, Poppy. Oh, man. We're greeting people in our native languages. Oh, I kind of like that. Okay, that's kind of cute. The folks on YouTube are greeting each other in their native languages, which is kind of fun. There's no Q&A box. What do you mean? Oh, you know, they changed the freaking thing. What did they do? We're having a little crisis on TikTok. One moment. They changed it. What did they do? The Q&A box is missing. Interact. Oh, God. Oh, God. Conversation starters. Choose a topic from the list? What the F is that? Do you eat the crusts on your sandwiches? What are you, high? What the F did they do? Hold on. Comment settings? What did they hide? I'm going to freaking kill TikTok. Block keywords, mute donation, hide potential, allow comments. Yes. Moderators, we still got them. Rankings, whatever. It looks like TikTok just hid the comments people could. Oh my God. They're out of their minds. No, they changed something here. Are they out of their minds? Enhance, effects, stickers, flip camera, mirror your video, voice effects, I don't care. Effects, I don't care. I can't believe they got rid of the Q&A. Oh my God, I hate them. I hate them. They got rid of the Q&A. Oh my God. This is annoying. This is really annoying. I don't think so. It's not like going to come back magically. They changed the settings. Wait, you're seeing Q&A on your end? It's not showing it on my end. Under interact, I've got conversation starters, which is new. No, they changed it. People start entering some Q&A in the Q&A. Maybe it'll show me somewhere. But see, some of you have it and some don't, which is weird. There are 5 questions on there. You see, but we're having a little meltdown here over on TikTok because TikTok decided to change things. Yeah, thanks for the glasses. Oh my God. No, I'm not naive about the war. You're just not following the news. No Q&A. There's no Q&A. Yeah, Q&As only work. Thanks, Nathan. That's very cute. Well, no. Is it on? Are you on the other lives right now? It doesn't matter if it's on the other lives this morning. What matters is whether there's a Q&A right now on another live. And I'm going to try to go to another live. Doesn't matter if it was there 2 hours ago. They changed. I can tell on my end the options are different. They changed it. Oh my God. But why are a number of you not seeing it either? Okay, this is starting to tick me off, people.
How many days does it
Okay, that's cute.
take to get a couch in a hub?
All right, let me find the live. No. It's not letting me. Oh, I see. It's not going to let me watch another live either. These idiots. Well, if I close down the app, then you all disappear. This is crazy. Well, if I hang up right now, you're all going to disappear on TikTok. That's the only problem I've got with that. And getting you all back is going to be a lot of fun. That's fine. Let me close it down. I hate doing this. All right, guys, I'm going to close this down and come right back in. Let's see. Sorry. Join me again, please. And now. We're having a little TikTok meltdown here, folks. I'm a little pissed off. TikTok keeps changing things. But why in a million years they would think this was a good idea? Unbelievable. Live. All right. Let's see what this does. Oh, my God. And I know I just wiped everybody out for no reason because it's not going to be here. Yeah, it's not going to be here. Why do I listen to people? People were like, just shut down your TikTok and come back. The Q&A will be there. I was like, no, it won't. Well, it's not on my end. Ain't nothing on my end, folks. All we did manage was we lost 700 people. That was fun. Yeah. All right. Well, there's no way to queue up questions. So TikTok sucks. This is a surprise. All right. I'm doing one last look at TikTok. Well, now we're going to wait another minute here. If you don't mind, you YouTube folks, we're going to wait another minute for the TikTok folks to come back. Yeah. No, it's not even turned on. And it's not giving me the literally conversation starters. Do you have family reunions? Your favorite sleeping positions. I kid you not. These are in lieu of the Q&A where people can actually pose questions. This is what TikTok is recommending we talk about instead. What shows do you binge watch? Are you a cat or dog person? Oh, here's a good one. What brought you to TikTok? Could you imagine asking people these questions? What brought you to TikTok? Jesus Christ. The Q&A feature. That's what brought me to TikTok. That's a different Q&A feature on my bio page. That has nothing to do with the lives. Yeah, that has nothing to do with the lives. I hate this. Oh, TikTok, you mess. All right, guys, we're letting TikTok. Well, I got more people this time. Welcome, TikTok. We were having a bit of a meltdown, but apparently hanging up and coming back got me beyond the TikTok filter. So we're about to start, guys. We discovered there was a little glitch that the new and updated YouTubers, just hang on, the new and updated TikTok no longer seems to let you enter Q&A at the bottom of the screen, which was a wonderful way for you to list the questions for me. And then when we get to the question and answer period, we can just do them. But unfortunately, TikTok is being evil. So we ain't doing that now. I'm sure the other lives are missing it too. Yeah. Hold on. I'm doing one last look here. Don't hang up on me. I'm doing one last look at my settings, and then we're just going to start, guys. Creator tools, but there are no live settings. Yeah, there are no live settings in my creator tools. There never were. The live settings are in the live. Yeah. All right. Well, we're not going to worry about it, but welcome everybody on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and everything else. I am the ultimate professional where it doesn't matter how many curveballs TikTok throws at me. The show will go on. I'm not dealing with this anymore. They're clearly not here on my end. There are no, thank you, Samantha. I feel much better that you gave me the hat. Thank you. There are no questions. There are no Q&As available on my end. And that's unfortunately the way it's going to be because TikTok sucks. So while I'm doing this, if anybody decides they want to have a look and wants to Google what happened to the Q&As on TikTok, you are more than welcome, but I'm going to start the show. So I am John Arvosis here in Washington, D.C. The way we do this is I will give you guys the news for the first 10, well, actually a good 20 minutes today. There's a good amount of Q&A. There's a good amount of news today, actually some good news too. And then we get to the Q&A. Normally, before TikTok decided to botch everything, we would have you enter the questions in the Q&A box, but that doesn't exist anymore. So I'm turning down my fan as I talk to you so I don't freeze to death. What we're going to do instead, unfortunately, is every time I come to TikTok, you guys are going to have to enter your questions live, and I'm going to see them screaming, screaming on the screen. So that's what we're going to do. And YouTube, you guys know the story, and LinkedIn and everybody else, enter your questions in the comment box, and I will see them there. On TikTok, as always, I appreciate when you guys do the funky little hats and everything else, and the sunglasses, case in point. And I will always try to do a shout out. Thank you, Jay Tat, for that. As long as I see it, I'll give you a shout out. And on YouTube as well, I will get to your guys' questions. And if you do a super chat question, I appreciate it. Or a super sticker, and we'll do a shout out for that as well. Let's jump in. Yeah, there's pretty good news today. Oh, and on TikTok, keep hitting that like button because who knows? It can't hurt. Not like button. Keep tapping the screen. It can't hurt. Thank you, JTAT and Candace. So the news today is the Wall Street Journal is reporting the details of the weapon systems that supposedly the Biden administration is providing to Ukraine. Now, previously, there was a little bit of an issue of, you may remember how this all started. Friday, the Wall Street Journal reported that an official from the Biden administration said he was approving long-range missiles and rockets to Ukraine. And we all went, what? Well, then, and thank you, Best Grandma, for the pride flag. Then, 2 days later, Biden came out and said, we're not sending any missiles to Ukraine that can hit Russia. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean, right? Russia literally shares a border with Ukraine. So if we don't provide any weapons that can hit Russia, we literally wouldn't provide any weapons because even a shotgun, they could shoot across the border and it would hit Russia, right? Well, then this morning, the Wall Street Journal came out, thank you, Marcy, for that, and clarified, and it sounds like it's pretty good news. Isaac, I am going to get to that in a minute, but since I'm right now in the middle of explaining the new weapon system, I want to finish with that first, okay, if that's all right. Thank you for the wishing bottle there too, guys. So the Wall Street Journal says that there is a new rocket/missile system that the U.S. is going to be giving to Ukraine. Thank you, Allie, for that. We are going to be sending, and again, let's see if Biden changes this in the next few days. Hopefully he doesn't. There's always a chance. We are going to be sending, and I don't know if you pronounce this or spell it, so I'm going to spell it, the HIMARS system, which is the High Mobility Artillery Rocket System. So that's the system that actually sends the rockets or sends the missiles. And then the question becomes, which missiles are we giving the Ukrainians? Because there's a wide range of them that go a wide range of distances. Well, the story says that we are sending missiles that go just over 40 miles. Well, I did my research for you today, and there is a missile system that goes just over 40 miles. Thank you, KK, for the shooting stars. And it is the GMLRS system, the Guided Multiple Launch Rocket System missiles. And again, I'm just sort of giving you the details in case any of you are super military geeks. You'll know this, and frankly, you may even be able to give us some feedback that's useful as we talk about this. Let's deal with the Q&A when we get to it, Joanne, okay? Let's not even deal with it right now. I'm going to get to the news for the next 20 minutes, and then we'll deal with that, all right? So they're getting the HIMARS system for sending the missiles, and the actual missiles it looks like the Ukrainians are getting are the GMLRS, which have a range of 43 miles or 70 kilometers. Now, initially, I was a little concerned when I heard this. And frankly, there were people some of the defense types were upset too, because they said, look, Ukraine really needs the long range stuff. Well, I turned to my favorite general, General Hertling, who is the retired general right now. Great guy, very smart. And he's the former head of the U.S. Army in Europe. Very good guy, very smart guy. And he was ironically retweeting a friend of mine, Marcos Mulitsas, who Marcos used to actually work with these systems. And he used to have to keep them up, these missile systems. So Marcos was weighing in on which one was better. And Marcos actually said this smaller system, the lighter system, the system that only goes about 43 miles, is way better than the longer one. The general weighed in and said, listen to this guy, he knows what he's talking about. And then the general himself did a longer thread explaining what's good about this. I synthesized what's important for you, okay? Trust me, this took about half an hour because I kept reading it again going, what are they talking about? All right. Marco says that it is way easier to maintain the medium range system, the system that only goes about 43 miles. Well, there's a whole combination here, but the HIMAR system, way easier to maintain than the other one. It is, he says the longer one was a nightmare. Trying to keep it so that they could keep using it was an absolute nightmare, and he thinks the Ukrainians would go out of their minds using the longer range system. Now, General Hertling weighed in specifically and said the system is more agile, the system the Ukrainians are getting. It requires less training than the longer range system. It requires less, exactly, only 43 miles, exactly. I mean, which is pretty darn good. It requires less maintenance and less support, and it does the job. Now, specifically, Hertling said there's two types of, well, do we want to get it? Yeah, we can get into this. Yeah, we can get into this. There's two types of rocket launching systems, okay? And remember, we're talking about the system that, in other words, it's like a gun and a bullet, okay? The system is the gun, the missile is the bullet. So there's two types of systems, which is the gun according to Hertling's. Two types of MLRS systems. One is the M270 and one is the M142, okay? The M142, the HIMARS, is the one that Ukraine's going to be getting, we believe. Now, Hertling says the M270, the one they're not getting, was developed in the 1980s specifically to counter the Soviet artillery advantage. The M142, the one we believe the Ukrainians will be getting, was designed in the late 1990s for airborne and striker forces. It's fast-moving, quicker strike, smaller punch, meaning a smaller explosive that goes off, and easier to resupply and maintain. Now, one key point that Hertling brought up was the M270, which is the bigger system they're not getting, is on tracks, meaning think of a tank, how you got those tank treads, that treadmill thing that tanks have, right? The M142 that the Ukrainians in principle are getting are on wheels, just like any other vehicle. And in the Ukrainian situation where they are, the terrain, you want wheels. You don't want to get stuck like a tank. Because remember how these tanks kept getting stuck because of the terrain? You don't want that. So across the board, much better. That's kind of it that I've got. I mean, I had talked yesterday about some of the advantages when, thank you, Jay Fluss. There was a thread a couple days ago showing maps of Kherson. Okay, actually, and people are weighing in. I will look at that in a second, Ray. When you look at Kherson, for example, the province in the south that the Russians are occupying, you can be well within free Ukrainian territory, right? Ukrainian territory that is free, not occupied by the Russians. Be well within it, and you can hit all of the territory that the Russians are occupying in Kherson. So in other words, they don't even need to be really close to the Russians in order to hit the Russians. And the same thing when you get to Kharkiv. The really cool map of Kharkiv was showing Kharkiv, second largest city of Ukraine, northeast, right? And this is the city that the Ukrainians just recently pushed the Russians back. Well, when you push the Russians back to the east, you'll see the Russians then control some territory. Oh, I see somebody from Ukraine. Okay. Hey, Sidorich. Everybody give some highs to the Ukrainians on TikTok. Good to see you. I'm just explaining the new weapon systems that President Biden is in principle going to be giving you guys, the new rocket systems. So what happens is around Kharkiv, this will permit the Ukrainians from a safe distance to be able to hit the Russian supply center, which is, again, like 40 miles away. And it's the supply center that is supplying much of eastern Ukraine. Like, it's going to be a disaster for the Russians if the Ukrainians are able to hit their resupply effort. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Because remember, what really screwed the Russians around Kyiv with their big initial offensive was the logistics. It was the supplies that were cut off. So Big deal. It's a big deal. Why should we praise a Ukrainian? Because in my view, they are heroes because they have been surviving for 90 days, almost 90 days, maybe 90 days in front of a genocidal maniac. And you know what? Anybody who can survive in front of a genocidal maniac gets sunflowers from me. There you go. Oh, I see. You know, you're so bad. Bye-bye, hoorah. Don't let the sunflower seeds hit your butt on the way out, big boy. So the other thing, the other news, oh, I'm sorry, let me see here. So Ray some people were weighing in about the systems, who know the system, so let me give you a little more here. So Ray is saying the missile we needed is the M30-31 with a range of 70 kilometers. That's what we're talking about, though, right? The M26 rocket has a range of 40 kilometers. Both M142 and M270 fire the same rockets. One is 6 bays, the other 12. Correct. The missile, we believe, is the 70-kilometer because they said it was, thanks you, JTAT, they said it was slightly over 40 miles. And slightly over 40 miles is 43 miles, which is 70 kilometers. So it looks like they're getting the right one. I am feisty as hell tonight. TikTok got me a little annoyed, I admit. But this topic also, I was very glad because the topic made me feel good. All right, I finished that topic, but we can talk about it some more. Isaac asks, how is Ukraine doing on the front line? Isaac, it depends where you define the front line. So what is going on generally with Ukraine right now? And might as well give you the quick update. There isn't much to update you on, but there are many front lines. The big front line right now is Severo Donetsk, which is this town in eastern Ukraine, kind of maybe north and east. Kind of hard to explain because Ukraine isn't exactly a square, but east, more or less. It is the easternmost town that the Ukrainians still control. And the Russians are going all out to take it over because if they take this town, then they will have taken over the entire, I don't know if it's an oblast or what, but Luhansk, which is one of the two areas in the east that the Russians are trying to take, that the Russians want to annex, right? One is Luhansk and the other is Donetsk. So if they take the city, they will have all of Luhansk, and that will allow the Russians bragging rights to say, look, we got the whole kit and caboodle in the Far East, but they still haven't gotten the other region yet. Now, the issue is that Institute for the Study of War, which is highly regarded, and others as well, thinks that the Russians are spending too much effort trying to get this town, that basically, they didn't say this, I'm saying this, Putin basically ordered these people and said, you better get this GD town because I need something to brag about. And if I get the town, I can brag that I've got all of Luhansk. So they are going in like maniacs to take this town. They're going in straight on. They were going to try to surround it, but it looks like they don't have enough vehicles to surround the town because it would have made much more sense to surround it and lay siege. They're not doing that. The Russians finally went straight in and they're causing a lot of damage. They're killing a lot of civilians. They're killing themselves. They're killing the Ukrainian soldiers. It's, I believe, the worst shelling of the war and probably the worst battle of the war. And there is a chance the Russians may get the town. But if they get this town, Institute for the Study of War says it's not worth it, that they are basically hurting themselves way more in terms of morale, in terms of lost men, and in terms of lost equipment. And if and when they get this town, or if and when they lose getting this town, there will be pretty much no more offensive actions by the Russians. The Russians will have spent their military, and they're then going to have to dig in. And so that's pretty much where, I mean, I was going to give you that overview anyway, but that's pretty much the front line. If you call the front line Severo Donetsk, the Russians have now taken over 70% of the town. So, they may end up taking it over, but they're giving up a lot. So let's see what happens. I know, PG, I was glad too. So let me make sure. Okay, we got that covered. In other news, the U.S. today endorsed the Italian peace plan, which I thought was a little fishy. A couple things going on here. One, I think there was, I think the U.S. is trying to pander to Italy because they're trying to keep Italy on board. They're worried about Italy, they're worried about France, and they're worried about Germany. All three countries have been making sounds like they kind of would like this to be over. They'd like Ukraine to agree to a peace treaty. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal today or yesterday or last night saying that France and Germany in particular do not, and excuse me, some Germans weighed in and said, don't call us Germany. Blame it on Scholz, the chancellor. So so we'll blame it on Scholz, not the Germans. The Germans are good. But Scholz, the chancellor of Germany, and Macron in France do not believe Ukraine can win. So they want to get this over with. And that's why they're pushing for Ukraine to settle, because they don't think Ukraine can win this. Italy, probably in their camp, well, the U.S. ends up endorsing the Italian peace proposal. And let me tell you again what the Italian peace plan is. And as I said, I think we're endorsing it because we're trying to keep Italy as part of the fold, and we're just that. But hang on a sec. I don't think the Italian peace plan is a great idea. So the Italian peace plan is 4 parts. 1, a ceasefire and the demilitarization of the front line under the UN auspices. So there'd be a ceasefire and a demilitarization frontier between the Ukrainians and the Russians. I'm going to go through all of these first and then tell you why I think there's a problem. 2, negotiations on the status of Ukraine vis-a-vis NATO and the European Union. Thank you, Ivan. 3, a Ukrainian-Russian agreement on Crimea and the Donbass. And 4, a multilateral agreement on peace and security in Europe. Okay, first one, ceasefire and a demilitarization zone. The problem is the ceasefire would be setting in place exactly where we are right now, with Russia controlling a lot of eastern Ukraine, with Russia controlling that strip of land going all the way down to Crimea. The strip of land includes Mariupol. The strip of land includes Zaporizhia, Kherson, those regions down there right north of Crimea. So just that, it includes all of that. Now, why would the Ukrainians want a ceasefire right now when everyone is saying that the Russians are pretty much spending everything they've got on this battle of Severo Donetsk, and afterwards, the Russians are going to have to just dig in and wait for the Ukrainians to attack them. Thank you, Lisa K. If the Russians are going to have to dig in anyway, why would you want to let them dig in and at the same time tell the Ukrainians, but you can't fight back, you can't attack them? Because what's going to happen in the next month or so, might be a little longer, the Ukrainians are going to start to be picking and choosing where they attack the Russians, because the Russians are going to be dug in. Under this peace plan, there would be a ceasefire. So the Russians would still be dug in, but the Ukrainians wouldn't be picking and choosing where to attack because they couldn't attack at all. What would the Russians do? The Russians would keep digging in while the Ukrainians aren't attacking them, making it even easier for the Russians to stay and harder for the Ukrainians to eventually get rid of them. So that worries me about a ceasefire, because it locks in the status quo, and the status quo is the Russians are pretty much exhausted and the Ukrainians are about to go on the initiative. Mind you, the initiative with the new weapon systems the U.S. is sending. I didn't mention with those systems, it takes about 10 days of training per person operating the systems, and they believe it'll take several weeks for them to get there. The other question is, we don't know how many are being sent, how many of the actual missile systems, and how many of the missiles/rockets themselves. So that's a question, right? And Becky agrees with me. So there you go. If Becky agrees with me, then I'm right on. Thank you, Becky. Second point, negotiations on the status of Ukraine vis-a-vis NATO in the EU. Why the hell should Ukraine have to negotiate with Russia as to whether it can apply to the EU or to NATO? Who the F came up with that idea, right? Why even put that on the agenda? I mean, I'm just throwing that one out there, but why is that even on the agenda? This is legitimizing. Sasha's alive. She's just in bed on the other side of the room. Don't worry. Why? Putin has said from day one, right? Oh, he had to attack Ukraine because of the NZs and because they were going to join NATO, supposedly. Well, as we all know, there wasn't a bat's chance in hell of Ukraine joining NATO, because NATO doesn't want them, because NATO's being awful. Just like the EU doesn't want, the EU's being just as awful. Neither bloc was going to accept Ukraine anytime soon. Russia was lying. By putting these on the agenda, you are agreeing with Russia that this was an issue, that this is an issue. You get it? And you're actually reinforcing the Russian talking point for invading in the first place. Third point, a Ukrainian-Russian agreement on Crimea and Donbass. Again, why? Why should Ukraine have to negotiate with Russia about the status of its own land? Right? That's like saying we should have to negotiate the status of Alaska because Russia wants it back. That's a bunch of bull. And this last thing, the multilateral agreement on peace and security, all I can guess what that mouth of gobbledygook means is the world's going to come together and guarantee Ukraine that this time, if it gives up a bunch of land and gives up its sovereignty and doesn't apply, won't apply to the EU, won't apply to NATO, that this time the world will protect it. That's a crock of crap, and you all know it. The world will not come. Right now, the world has been supplying weapons, and that's great. But the world was not willing to go to war with Russia, and we have made very clear, unfortunately, we've made too clear that we're not willing to go to war with Russia. We have stated again and again and again, we can't engage the Russian forces because it would be World War III, right? That's the Biden line. It's everybody else's line. Russia knows, and Ukraine knows, nobody's ever going to war for Ukraine. It's never going to happen. So why the hell should there be some multilateral agreement, security agreement, that we all know no one's going to enforce? Mind you, final point, and I'll get off my high horse about this agreement, there already was an agreement, right? Was it the Budapest Memorandum? Ukraine had, thank you, Del, Ukraine had 5,000, I got to double check the number again, 5,000, 6,000 nuclear weapons, something like that, when the Soviet Union fell apart, okay? Soviet Union dissolves in 1991. Ukraine becomes a free country, and it ends up having a bunch of the weapons that were Soviet nuclear weapons. They were in Ukraine. Well, what does Ukraine do? Ukraine, being the gullibly wonderful people they are, believed U.S. and thank you, Wandering and AJ, both for that. They believed the U.S. and the UK's promises that if the Russians ever came knocking, the U.S. and the UK would be there to defend their security. Well, what did the Russians do? The Russians came knocking in 2014, and absolutely nothing happened. I mean, there were sanctions. That was nice. But we let Russia steal Crimea from the Ukrainians. This time, the Russians came in, and yes, we did provide a lot of weapons, and that's good we're providing the weapons. But we gave them a security guarantee that, let's face it, we all know what that means. It meant if the Russians come knocking, we're going to war. Well, the Russians came knocking. We didn't go to war for 2 times in a row. We ain't going to war the 3rd time either, folks. So, all right. And actually, I will say this too. The reason this really pisses me off isn't just a matter of justice, and I do think there is a matter of justice with regards to Ukraine and how they've been treated in all of this, but we collectively, as an international order in the West, I say the West, but it's not even the West anymore. It's pretty much Russia versus the world. It was the West when we had East and Western Europe, but now calling us the West when all of Eastern Europe agrees with us too, or pretty much all of Eastern Europe, it's not really the West. But in any case, I went on a tangent and almost forgot what I was going to say. I'm going to see, I pissed myself off on this stuff, and then I forget. What was I going to say with the final point? Oh, yeah. We have sent a message to the world that if you give up your nuclear weapons, you're screwed. If you give up your nuclear weapons and you fight another nuclear power, you're screwed. And if you keep your nuclear weapons, we are going to bow down to you like you've never seen. We're going to let you commit genocide if you keep your nuclear weapons. Not only will we let you commit genocide, we're going to figure out how to reward you for the genocide so that you back off. That's the lesson we have sent around the world. And I heard somebody saying this on TV the other day too. Anyway, it upsets me. All right. New poll, 82% of Ukrainians say they would never give land for peace, even if it meant prolonging the war. I thought that was interesting because honestly, 82% sounds a little low to me. I would have thought the number would have been, 97% of Ukrainians say don't give Russia land. Anyway, a few more topics and then we're done. Poland is, the point I wrote down was Poland is not planning to invade Ukraine. The Russians have been pushing some insane talking point that made its way all the way up to thank you, Amber, that made its way all the way up to Russian television, but then to the Secretary of Putin's Security Council, which is his inner circle of advisors. They are claiming that Poland has a secret plan to invade Ukraine and take half of it. And literally these goofballs came out and said it the other night, which is insane, or said it last night. You may remember about a week ago, I told you guys about some bizarre story that the Russians, you know how every night the Russians come up with a new nuclear war story, about there's gonna be nuclear war with the West. Well, the latest one from a couple days ago, not latest, but the one from a couple days ago was the Russians claiming this is how we have nuclear war. Poland is going to take over half of Ukraine. Russia's going to own the other half of Ukraine, and they're going to fight over the border of who gets more of Ukraine. And because Poland's a NATO country, that means Russia will be at war with NATO, and it'll be a nuclear war. And they were saying this days ago. I don't know what's going on. I am guessing they're trying to scare the Ukrainians. I don't know whether there's any Ukrainians who would believe this. I'm just not sure I don't know. But it's very weird. I will say I don't understand half of the propaganda that comes out of Russia, meaning I don't understand who they're trying to convince. This one is so bizarre. I just don't get it. Cinnamon Control, did Ukraine withdraw from Severo Donetsk today? Not that I saw. Not when I was looking at the news right before we came on, and they were still fighting. The fighting was still quite hard. Now, there is discussion. Yes, there was one thing I saw. This might be what you're saying. I did see something about an hour ago that suggested that possibly the Ukrainians, though they were fighting the Russians, were basically fighting on their way out, meaning the Ukrainians may be doing a strategic withdrawal from Severo Donetsk, where they may realize they can't win it. Well, actually, I shouldn't say they can't win it. They may realize that what's happening is maybe the Russians really are surrounding them. There was a concern early on. Early on, there was a concern that the Russians were going to come in and circle, thousands of Ukrainian troops, like a horrific encirclement of the troops. Then it got smaller and smaller and smaller, and now it became this small group of troops in this area that there's concern about the Russians circling them. And if the Russians circle them, they're surrounded on all sides, they're in trouble, right? I did read something that said possibly the Ukrainians were kind of backing out and fighting in front, but kind of backing out so they wouldn't get encircled. So maybe. Let's see what the news is later tonight. She's playing by herself. Thank you, Louie. I get such a kick when my dog does this. She's just, actually, you guys, this time TikTok folks can see, the YouTube folks, you can see her right there. She's looking out the window behind my plants, but she was playing with herself and doing this little anyway. So it's possible. I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but it's possible that the Ukrainians, thank you, J-Tat, that the Ukrainians will say, you know what, it's not worth it, and do a strategic withdrawal and let the Russians have it, because it would cost just too much for them to try to fight over it. Oh, sorry. All right, you go on. Oh, sorry, letting the dog out. Go on, go. All right. Oh, sorry. The dog drank like 2 cups of water today because of the heat, so I'm letting her in and out the door when she wants, just so we don't have accidents. All right. That's it for those questions. I'm almost done with this, actually. The mercenaries with the Wagner, is it Wagner or Wagner? That I'm not sure. But the mercenaries with the Wagner group, which is the Russian mercenaries set up by an oligarch who's a corrupt billionaire with ties to Putin, one of Putin's best friends, one of his closest relationships. And the mercenaries have been working in Mali, and there are now multiple witnesses that say the mercenaries killed hundreds of civilians. So that's bad. I'm going to kind of call it quits on that. What was the, oh God. I wrote wait for it on the end, and I'm like, what was that? This was very funny. So the last little thing I'll show you, and then we'll do the Q&A, and I'm going to look and see. All right. She's just sitting there looking at things. I'm only being careful because it's like 92 degrees out, so I don't want to leave her out there any more than she wants to be. The last thing was Russian TV had another crazy thing they were discussing tonight, and it was whether they should kidnap Western officials when they go. Like, all these Western officials are going to Ukraine, right? And so Russian TV, state TV, is discussing tonight on maybe we should kidnap all these Western officials the next time, some foreign leader or something goes to Ukraine. Just crazy stuff. Well, okay, now she's coming in. All right, you. One moment. Oh, come on in, Sasha. Come on. It's too hot out there. All right. Oh, there we go. Like I said, it's like 92 out, so I don't want to leave her there. So here we go. So as this video is playing, okay, this is the video on Russian TV, and the loony guy is going off about, just imagine the conversation. The conversation is, we're going to kidnap their leaders, and their leaders are going to wake up in Moscow, and they're doing that ridiculous bravado the Russians do. I'm going to show each of you in turn what actually happened. Watch closely. In the middle, well, I got to put up the volume though, because with the volume, it's almost better because you can hear these. Oh, come on, stop. There it is. Hold on. I just like it with the volume because you actually can hear the bravado in the guy's voice. This just absolutely cracked me up. I'm sorry, but I just love, because this is the national television run by the state, Russia 1, and this is like the 8 o'clock show. That's the big show there. And this is this lunatic going off about, we're going to kidnap their leaders and they're going to wake up in Moscow. And as he's saying this happens. The guy just picks his nose in the middle of the thing. I'm sorry. It made me laugh. It freaking made me laugh. I thought it was absolutely priceless comedy. Absolutely freaking priceless. All right, guys. So, did something freeze? What? Hope nothing froze. Yeah, it was gross. I'm seeing ooze, so people saw it. All right. So, all right, guys. Russian TV is insane. I'm going to change the temperature again. Thank you, Poppy. And let's go to the questions on TikTok. As I said, unfortunately, there is no Q&A box. Let me look here. Nope. There's no Q&A box because they're evil. So I'm just going to have to look at your questions as I am a pro account, but I've been a pro account this whole time. Let me just say this to make it clear for everybody so people don't stop guessing what happened. Nothing changed in my account. TikTok changed this today. They changed a bunch of the features all over the profiles and everything else, and this is one of the features they changed. They got rid of the Q&A box. I don't know why. So it's very annoying. I've had a pro account for months. That's not what happened. So yes, if TikTokers want to enter questions, I will at least kind of see them here. Somebody asked this the other day, Feiskers, about if Russia's guilty of war crimes. Is Russia guilty of, well, that's a little different. I got her back in. She's fine, yes. Is Russia, hey, stop it. Is Russia guilty of war crimes if Wagner commits them? Okay, I just have to keep an eye on her because if she's by my couch and whining, it's because she lost a toy under my couch and then she digs at my leather couch thinking it'll somehow get the toy out. Oh my. In any case, if Wagner commits the war crimes, is Russia guilty? That's really interesting. Well, it depends whether they're acting on behalf of Russia. So, I mean, I think I would it's a simple legal analysis of that, right? Did Russia hire them? I guess Russia wouldn't necessarily. Well, that's funny. Russia wouldn't necessarily be paying them because they're being, for example, in Mali, they're being paid by the government. But you'd have to say, are they an arm of the Russian government? That's the question. Or are they totally independent? Now, the rest of the world considers these guys to be an arm of the Russian Ministry of Defense. The question, though, becomes, again, like with war crimes, you've got to prove intent. And you've got to improve sort of knowledge. In other words, you've got to prove that I knew, even if they're my guys and I'm the Minister of Defense or I'm Vladimir Putin, you've got to prove that I know they're going to commit war crimes and I don't care, or that I've told them to commit war crimes, right? But you've got to, that not easy to prove, but I would agree that at some point they've got to go after these guys for war crimes or crimes against humanity or whatever you want to call it, because it's ridiculous at this point. It really is. Yeah, I don't know what that means. USA Raider, the Q&A is under your page. I don't know what that means. There's a Q&A section on my profile, and that's entirely different. So, let me go look and see. What are you guys throwing in anything here? These TikTok things are going to be much harder now with the questions. I'm kind of annoyed. They might have disabled it on default. Yeah, there are no settings. I checked all the Syndicate. Syndicate's asking if I checked all the settings on the live. Syndicate. Who are you talking to here? Okay. I'm your American clone. Of course, I checked all the settings on the live. That was the first thing I did. Yeah, I'm glad it shows up for you. It shows up for you in the live we're having because it ain't here. Guys, submit your questions. We'll figure it out later. Why is it we defended Kuwait and we can't do it for Ukraine? Because Kuwait was a life and death situation because of the oil. It's quite simply. It was a threat to Kuwait's oil and it was a threat to Saudi Arabia's oil. And while some of my liberal brethren like to make a claim, no blood for oil, they're out of their minds. Because if Saddam Hussein had gotten control of the Middle East's oil, we would all be dead. It is incredibly important to have the oil supply not be controlled by, well, it already is controlled by dictators, but at least it's a disparate mix of dictators rather than one guy like Saddam Hussein. But that's why we did it. I'm not saying I'm thrilled about us not going into Russia, but the other thing is Saddam Hussein didn't have nuclear weapons. I mean, well, no, 1991 wasn't even about the WMD. Saddam Hussein didn't have nuclear weapons. So we weren't afraid of Saddam Hussein nuking New York or doing something else. So there was less of a risk of going in against him than going into Ukraine and fighting Russia, which is a nuclear power. So again, I'm not thrilled about it. So, but nonetheless, if you have the latest TikTok update, there's no Q&A. That's right, Nick Da Silva. That's what I told people. Did you see Turkey wants to take Greek islands back? No, but I'm not surprised. Turkey keeps playing this game. Thank you, Grandma. Turkey keeps playing this game, trying to, I forget how it works exactly, but saying we own all the water, or we own like the international waters, or whatever the hell it is. I forget if it's 6 miles out or however the hell the international waters are determined, and your country has all the water up until then. Well, there are some Greek islands that are right off of Turkey. So if I'm making this up about 6 miles, but I think it might be 6 miles or 12 miles. If you go 6 miles out, you've already encompassed a bunch of Greek islands. So the islands would end up being Turkish. So my guess is that's the BS Turkey is doing. Turkey is doing a really good job of convincing NATO that maybe it shouldn't be with us anymore. The problem is Turkey also knows it's super important. And it's too important for the Middle East and that we can't risk getting rid of it, unfortunately. Melissa, thank you for that. Sorry, let me go to the bottom. There it is. I'm trying to find. Hold on. There's a number of you guys here. Melissa, Melissa. It was very nice of you. If you meant that to be a question, feel free to write out a question, because sometimes I get the sense that somebody intended to do a question and didn't manage to get the question in there. So let me know if you did. And I think there was. Thank you, June. The other question that was here was, do Ukrainian resistance within occupied areas increase domestic Russian support for the war? Oh, that's interesting. In other words, if there's Ukrainian resistance inside the occupied territory, so they set off bombs, for example, they've set off bombs going after the collaborationist mayors and things like that, right? Hang on, I'm just looking here again to see if. Oh, okay. I didn't see that question. Thank you, Syndicate. I've got that on my list now. Okay. Yep, I've got that on my list. Thank you. Well, you know what? It'll increase Russians' domestic support for the war if bombs go off and their guy gets killed. At the very least, they're going to think. Thank you for that. At the very least, they're going to think a Ukrainian got killed who was working with Russia, and it will simply tell them, oh, those Ukrainians are terrorists. And you know what I mean? Like, no wonder our boys have to be there to save them from themselves. So you get that. If the Ukrainians end up blowing up the Russian headquarters, for example, then the Russians will get really mad. But, it's a fact of war. The Ukrainians are much better off going after the Russians on their own soil than not doing it because they're worried about domestic Russian support. But sure, yeah, it'll help the Russians back home, sure, but it won't help the Russians hold on to. Let me actually rephrase that. There's one other possibility. Guten Morgen. It's not Morgan yet in Germany. It's 2 a.m. in Germany. I guess that's Morgan in a way. You could get an Afghanistan situation where if a lot of these bombs are going off, if the partisans, the insurgents, whatever you want to call the Ukrainian civilians who secretly form up and set off these bombs and things, if a lot of Russian soldiers keep getting blown up, you could have an Afghanistan situation where actually it's not a situation where people feel sorry for their troops, but they also look and go, this is a hellhole. Our soldiers keep getting blown up. What the hell are you doing there? You know, why is it not under control? And if they keep getting blown up, maybe we shouldn't be there. So in the end, it could potentially go against them. I think it could. Let me, heard Germany has not sent the promised arms. Oh yeah, we talked about that already. That's true. That's true. It was Die Welt, I believe, that did a big story a couple of days ago or a day or two ago saying that that the Germans haven't sent barely any of the arms they promised in the last 9 weeks. And, you know, having said that, now the Germans are promising to give weapons to Greece so that Greece can provide Soviet-era weapons to Ukraine. In other words, the Greeks would provide the weapons to the Ukrainians, and then the Germans would provide the Greeks replacement weapons. Again, maybe. What weapons? How long will it take? Who knows? The Germans... that's correct. We're not going to say the Germans. We're going to say Chancellor Scholz is in a really ambivalent position here. And it's clear that his heart isn't in this. And then when he gets embarrassed, he kind of does the right thing for a while and then gets embarrassed again and then goes bad again. So, but yes, that is correct. All right, guys. Sorry. So like I said, I've got to scroll for your questions. Russia's doing the nuclear threat and not making anyone mad, but it worked. China will do it. I'm not sure what that means. Sorry. Okay. You're all writing in German to each other. Lindsay, thank you for the super sticker. That was sweet of you. Is the U.S. planting extra wheat right now? I don't think so. I hadn't heard anything about that. Oh, sorry. Yes, Melissa. I did miss Melissa's. Will we stop helping if Ukraine does not take the Italian deal? Well, that will be interesting, okay? Because what I see happening there is it depends on where public opinion is. If the public thinks that Ukraine should be allowed to decide for itself, and if Ukraine thinks the deal isn't fair, then we should give Ukraine, the room to do what it thinks is important, then it will not hurt Ukraine, and it'll hurt us for trying to force it on them. You could get to a point where the public does start saying, enough's enough. Now, because we don't have troops involved, it's going to take longer to reach that point. Because yes, we've provided a lot of money, but the money isn't really tangible, right? What's the difference between the $40 billion and the original couple $1 billion? It hasn't changed my life any, right? It's not like your life's any different today than it was 3 months ago because we gave so much money to Ukraine. So, I mean, intellectually, we know we've given a lot of money, but it's not really impacting us. We're not seeing our men and women come home either in body bags or with their arms missing, right? We don't know of people who have died because their children have died over there in the war fighting for America. So, ironically, not having troops involved might make it easier for Ukraine to be a little tougher and say, we're not going to do that, So anyway, so it depends how well Ukraine keeps playing its cards and whether Ukraine keeps the public kind of on their side. So, but yeah, I don't know anything about the U.S. planting wheat. Oops, sorry, let me go down here. Right, you don't decide, the nations decide. Well, the only thing is, Archibald, the nation has to decide, but the question becomes whether the public in our countries looks and thinks Ukraine isn't agreeing to a really good deal. They should agree to a ceasefire. We should stop giving them weapons if they're not going to do that. It may not be right for us to do that, but the public could do it. So that's the discussion here. Would it be morally right for the West to tell Ukraine, you better agree to it? They might do it anyway because they may get fed up. But that's where Ukraine has to keep playing its cards right so that the public doesn't get fed up. Craig says Zelensky has promised a referendum. Thank you, Human. That's a Ferengi talk, I'm guessing. Thank you for that. Zelensky has promised a referendum on a final deal. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. He did. This might make it difficult for the West to resist. No, that is true. I forgot about that. Right. At the very beginning, Zelensky had said any deal that's reached, it's not up to him. It's up to the Ukrainian people. Well, I think he said it would have to be discussed in the parliament. Thank you for those two, Human. It would have to be discussed in the parliament and this kind of stuff. And thank you, Wandering Storm, as well for the pride flag. Always important. But in the end, they would have to have a nationwide referendum. So, right. So if ironically, what that also means is that the West, if we want to call it that, the West would also have to sell the Ukrainian people on this. Because if the West doesn't sell the Ukrainian people on it, then the Ukrainian people aren't going to support it. And then we could find that we're stuck there for a while, right? So, like I said, ironically, that could be what happens. In other words, we may have an incentive on us to sell it to the Ukrainian people as well, which is kind of interesting, But yep, no, that's the deal. So I saw the hat there, Bobby. Thank you. What else we got? Did you guys see if you've got more of your questions on? Remember on YouTube, Facebook, etc. You guys chat amongst yourselves a lot. Thank you, Human. Yeah, I think they got new stuff, Human. I've not seen that one before either. That's very cool. Thank you. They've got new. I guess for June they came out with new stuff, which is kind of cool. They took away the Q&A box, but they have some new motorcycle gifts they put up. Thank you, Ronbo. I appreciate it. It's not totally. Thank you, booty shaking. Just looking to see here. That's an interesting question. Chris Root. I'm going to say Root. That's going to be my guess. Root says, what is the sense of Russian brain drain and what industries are most likely affected by this? So brain drain, and thank you, Tyson and Daniel. I've got you starred, so I don't miss you there, Daniel. Brain drain is the concept of countries, people leaving their countries. Thank you. I'm going to call you Butts. That's what I'm calling you with that name. Brain drain is the concept and often a concept in developing countries where people leave the country to go somewhere else for education, to make more money, whatever it is, and they stay and they don't leave. Thank you for that too, Human. That's a newish. I think that's a newish Pearl one. You're on a roll today, Human. Thank you. I appreciate your generosity. Thank you. So that's what brain drain is. Brain drain is typically developing countries, what we used to call third world countries, where the young people especially leave and don't come back. And in other words, they lose the entire new generation. And by the way, who is it who can afford to leave? It's people with money. It's people with education, right? It's people who go abroad to go to the best schools because they're the ones who are there and go, I'm staying. It's not the poor people. So you're literally losing like the business class and possibly the intellectual property class. Thank you, Booty. The computer nerds and that kind of stuff, right? Thank you, Maria. I'm going to call you Maria. Now, look, in Russia, I know, for example, I saw some figure at the beginning of the war, something like 100,000. Thank you, Grandma. Like 100,000 Russian tech people, like high tech, had left the country. So I'm wondering about that. Like whether it's the high tech people, we know. Oh, I'm going back up here. I did not see anything from Missy. We know that the journalists have left, right? So we know that's. Oh, I've got Lindsay. Oh, there's Lindsay. Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Booty. Was Lindsay the one I met? I met. Was Lindsay the one I missed there, guys? Just double checking here. There it is. Thank you, Lindsay. I'm sorry. I totally, when I'm talking, if it comes really fast, I don't see it. So I apologize. Thank you for that. And I did see real quick, Tyson as well. Thank you. And then Daniel has a question. So yeah, I think the brain drain's a real problem. The media has left too. And actually, you do have a brain drain. The more worrisome brain drain is liberalism, meaning I don't mean left versus right liberalism, but I mean the thank you, Miss. Miss, I'm going to call you. The people doing civil rights groups, people doing journalism, like all those guys who have been forced to leave, and whether they come back or whether you lose a lot of the groups that help to keep Russia honest, so to speak, right? In addition to losing, but I think the tech people, a lot of those tech people could probably do very well abroad, I would think. So they may not come back, you know. Daniel O'Neill, the always generous Daniel O'Neill from Ireland, if it hasn't been nuked yet by the Russians. Will the new 6th round of EU sanctions actually hurt Russia? You mean the oil? It seems they're finally targeting Russian oil and gas. They're targeting oil. I did not see much on the gas front, unless I missed something. On the oil front, we know that they're cutting off, and Hungary probably gets an exception, but doesn't really matter. It's a small country in that regard. Thank you, Valerie, for that. They're cutting off Russian oil that comes into Europe via tanker versus pipeline, and that is 2/3 of the oil, which is great, that comes in is via tanker. They're also cutting off insurance, I believe, for the tankers as well. I'm not sure if it's redundant or in some way if it actually causes even more damage, or if it's just a redundancy to make it harder to get around, right? But the impact it'll have, somebody had raised, maybe was it yesterday evening or yesterday morning, I don't recall, and somebody raised the question of whether others would step in and buy the gas. And I was talking about, for example, how you wouldn't have new customers. There's a set pool of customers, okay? There's a set number of companies and countries that buy oil, for example, right? And if Europe is no longer buying 2/3 of the oil from Russia, that oil, where else would it go? Because everybody else is already buying it from somebody else. The only way the Russians could sell it would be to sell it cheaper. And I was reading somewhere that the Russian stuff actually does go at a discount. And the concern, I guess, is that if the Russians sell it cheap enough, maybe $20 or $30 a barrel cheaper, if it's at $100 a barrel now, whatever it's at, 70, I don't even know right now where it's at. It was like up to 116 or something, I thought. But in any case, if the Russians sell it $20 or $30 cheaper, somebody may move from someone else they're buying it from, let's say the Saudis, and move over to the Russians instead. That would get rid of some of the pain the Russians are suffering, because then they wouldn't lose all the money. They would lose 1/3 of the money, or they'd lose $20 a barrel instead of losing the entire amount on the barrel. So, let's see. The only reason I'm hedging a little is I feel so screwed now. I mean, by the Germans especially, but this oil thing has been so shifty and wiggly that it kind of makes me wonder what they really agreed to. Because remember, like the first embargo they had, what was the sanctions, and how they made all the exemptions here and there for the sanctions. And there was even, remember how they were trying to make the Europeans pay, and I think some of them are, where you don't pay in rubles, but you can pay in dollars and euros to an intermediary Russian company or whatever it is, that then a bank that then converts it to rubles. So there was like a loophole built into the sanctions, and it looks like we knew the loophole was built in. So I just am worrying about what loopholes have been built in for the various EU members. Let's see. That's my lingering concern with this stuff. All right, here we go. Okay, I don't think I missed anything else there. Let me jump on a few of you guys here. Oh, that's interesting. It's not entirely possible, as you have to refine that particular brand of oil. Well, that's good to hear, at least. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. So maybe it's a little harder to switch. Okay. Why is the USA still buying fossil fuels from Russia? Are we? We were buying a small amount. It wasn't it like 8% or something? Did we not cut ours off? I don't know. It's a good question if we're still doing it, but I thought we cut it off, but it wasn't very significant anyway. If somebody wants to Google while we're talking and let me know, did the U.S. cut off its oil imports from Russia? They're selling at $90 a barrel. It's going for 119. That's what I read. $30. I think, Ellie, I think you probably Googled that because that's what I had read. I read it was a $30 discount on Russian oil. Yeah. And yes, the Russians may have to move it around more, so they won't make all the money, but they still, they're not going to lose all the money, I guess, is the point here. Oops. Now I'm going to put adjusting my AC again, the air conditioning, because it's getting hot again in here since it's 90 out. That would piss off the Saudis. It might. What else we got here? I'm trying to find your guys' questions since I can't believe TikTok did this. God, why would they get rid of this? The New York Times just released an op-ed by Biden on what our plans in Ukraine are. Okay, I mean, it's not a bad idea. Do you think Ukraine has a good chance of winning if the U.S. stops the supplier? I think if the U.S. and the West were to cut off the supplies, Ukraine would be in trouble. I think they would be. Yeah. Now, mind you, some of the aid and the help we're giving is not some. A lot of it is intelligence as well. But I don't know necessarily like how long the Ukrainian army would last on its own. So I don't want to say that. But clearly our aid is helping, and were it cut off, yeah, it'd be a problem. Especially with the new stuff that's coming, because the new stuff could very well tip the war for them. Tip the balance entirely. Well, the balance, I think, is already tipping their way, but really tip it. Tyson Davis on fire today. Meanwhile, in Alberta, Becky's saying, in Alberta, Canada today, the premier was pushing Albertan oil to the U.S. markets and wants to restart Keystone. I mean, do we oppose the fact that they're pushing Albertan oil to the U.S. markets? I don't know. Is that something we don't like? Yeah, I know, Nathan. The spam we get on these things. Wait, I blocked this already. Oh, I see. It's already there. Maybe if you have to put the user in a timeout. Oh, that was interesting. And the entire chat discussion just disappeared on me. And that was disturbing. Okay. That was weird. There we go. Is the creepy stuff still there? Okay, guys. There we go. All right. Do you think the Ukraine question. Will the French journalist getting killed make Macron think again about Putin? No, I don't think so. I mean, it's a horrific story because the Russians also knew what they were doing. They fired at a car that they knew was evacuating people, and they fired anyway, knowing they were going to kill civilians. But, it's not going to change his mind. And if anything, it might even make it worse, right? Because Macron already thinks the Ukrainians aren't winning. And now he looks and goes, and now we've got French citizens being killed, journalists, who's the next person that's going to get killed? And if too many people get killed, Frenchmen, am I going to get blamed for it? Blah, blah, blah. So if anything, I almost think it makes Macron more worried about staying in. Just my guess, but I think it makes him more politically concerned. 8:07 already. Jesus Christ. God, I was pissed off about that TikTok thing. I didn't realize it was that late already. Wow. No, you're still there. Somehow your chat disappeared and it scared me, but you're back now. It's an ongoing thing with Albertan oil. I'm calling you Albertan. What's the possessive there? Alberta's oil. But wait, did you say Albertan? It sounds like Halliburton. Albertan. What else have we got from you TikTokers with our new and improved? Yeah, check your settings. Creators have been having problems with comments and Q&As in their lives. I will look at the settings one more time here, folks, just to see. I'm telling you, I've got conversation starters and poll. Yeah, get your viewers' questions. Do you think it's idiotic to get rid of the Q&A? How's that for a poll? Let me just look here. Comment. Okay, I can comment. Gift, no. All right, the gifts are on. I can give a gift to myself. That's very funny. Useless, but funny. Support nonprofit. Pause live. Admin settings. Comment settings. Allow comments. But that's already there. Hide potential. Mute duration. Block keywords. No. Moderators, rankings, muted accounts, block accounts, and that's it. Enhance, which makes me pretty. Effects, stickers, voice effects, flip camera, mirror your video. Nope. Forward to send to different people. That doesn't help. And interact simply has those stupid conversation starters that actually, what's your favorite? This is insane. What's your favorite cookie? I can't believe these are the comments that they're suggesting. What's your favorite cookie? I see you, CB. Let me get to that in a second. What's your favorite cookie? Do you like to work out? Oh my God. What do you say to yourself to motivate you? I know what I say. Maybe some days TikTok's Q&A will be back. Oh my God. What is your definition of happiness? Is there someone you really love? Oh my God. I kid you not. These are the questions they recommend instead of us doing the Q&A. Is there someone you really love? What? I think they think we're all like 12-year-old girls or something. I have no idea. Thank you for that, by the way. I have no idea what's going on. We're all like teenage, no offense to the teenage boys, but is there someone you really love isn't something you'd say to a teenage boy probably. Oh my God. What's the likelihood of another oil shock from somewhere else? Well, I mean, if you're the whole point of a black swan is you don't know what's coming. I mean, the black swan events are the events, at least in economics, thank you, Gordon, for that. The black swan, it was a concept I learned with investing, basically saying like something out of the blue that you couldn't predict that would cause the market to tank, like a war or something. I mean, the thing is, if there's another oil shock, it's an oil shock we didn't anticipate. So what is the likelihood of it, right? I don't know, because it's something we wouldn't anticipate. I think there is always a risk of it, right? You get, terrorists going after the Saudi oil fields, right? Political upheaval in Venezuela, all of a sudden taking their oil offline. Who knows? Iran. I mean, right? Somebody just said Iran, Chris Davis. Right. Anything with Iran's a possibility. And that was rubbing an itch that wasn't going right into my nose like the Russian, just pointing that out for everybody. But no, it's a risk. I mean, and that's always that's the danger of being in one war and having another war start, or having one crisis and having another crisis start. Yeah. I mean, right. Saudi revolution. Right. Exactly. So no, that's, it's a risk, but it's not one we can really predict necessarily, just looking here. Oh, so, you people out of your minds. Cinnamon control. Do you eat the crust on your sandwiches? I do. I've never understood people who, I guess I can understand the concept of cutting it off, but it never bothered me. I think it's a bit anal to cut off the crust on your sandwiches. Although I understand for cucumber sandwiches, you're supposed to, and I can respect that because it does look neater. So the aesthete of it, I can appreciate. But yes, I do. Even when I'm even to save money now as an adult, I will eat the last piece of bread on the inside of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, because I used to not use it for sandwiches. And then I finally grew up and went, okay, I'm not throwing away bread. Franny McDowell, that was an actual paid question, so I had to answer it. Franny McDowell, I know we're all tired with Russia making nuclear threats every day. With that being said, do you think they will make a surprise attack because we don't believe they will? The thing is, no, because here's how it works. If Russia were to actually make a nuclear attack against us, they could, and thank you, Annette, for that, they could destroy the entire United States. And our nuclear submarines, of which there are about 14 or so, and the nuclear weapons on our nuclear submarines, of which there could be, I don't even know how many. There could be 100 per sub. I mean, there could be 40 per sub. But you're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of nuclear weapons hidden on our submarines that would then launch and destroy every last human being in Russia. I was going to say the Soviet Union, in Russia. And the Russians know it. And that's why they would never launch a nuclear attack on us. And that's also why, their little BS about their super hypersonic missile and stuff. It doesn't matter if it's nuclear. It matters if it's non-nuclear. Nuclear doesn't matter because in the end, no one can touch a nuclear submarine. for all intents and purposes. And that's why if you've got your nukes in a nuclear submarine, you're pretty much guaranteed no one's going to nuke you. But what we've learned with Ukraine is you can get into a war that isn't a nuclear war, right? I mean, that's a different question, right? So like what happens if we get into war with Russia and we don't go nuclear, but they get their hypersonic missiles and everything else? Those will be very useful to them. But no, us saying we're not worried about it will not. I was going to say, I thought, hang on, let me just see here. I was going to say, I thought our subs didn't have as many. Under the provisions of the New START Treaty, Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, right? Each submarine has had 4 of its missile tubes permanently deactivated and now carry a maximum of 20 missiles. Okay. And then it depends how many warheads whether they're MIRVed warheads. Multiple independent reentry vehicles, a term of nuclear art that'll make you sound very smart if you know it, MIRV. And MIRVs are basically that one warhead could actually contain up to like 22 warheads, so that it goes into the air and then it splits off into 22 different nuclear bombs that go all over the place. Very scary stuff, hitting 22 cities, for example. I mean, very scary stuff. I thought ours may have few. The Russians could have some really big ones. We may have few, but is it 12 per 16, 20? I'm seeing all of this. Warheads per sub. Yes, but then how many warheads how many are the U.S. warheads MIRVed at all on a sub is my question. And even if the U.S. has even as few as 12 per sub, if we've got 14 subs, you're talking 160 some, is it? Merv Griffin, I know. I was thinking of Merv Griffin too when I said MIRVed. Right? You know, so you're talking about a lot of missiles that the U.S. has got on its subs. Russia's never attacking us with nukes. Now, the bigger concern is something, crazy happens. I mean, the Russians have an accident, terrorism, God knows what. There's also concern about if we were to get into a battle with Russia straight on, that it could escalate to a nuclear level, right? Because if we were literally fighting Russia, America versus Russia, and we were fighting like our own homelands, at what point neither of us are willing to lose our homeland to the other. So if you win by too much, then the other guy may go nuclear. I mean, it's nuclear doctrine is not easy. But the whole point of nuclear submarines is so that the Russians can't do anything. Ohio class, 24 missiles, 8 heads each. Okay. That's what I was wondering. I was going to say, I thought we had fewer. And don't the Russians potentially have up to like 21 or 22 or something? Yeah, 24 tridents with 8 each. Okay. But what do the Russians have? Do the Russians not have a greater number of MIRVs per warhead than we do? I thought they did. Like I said, I thought it was like 21 or 22 or something really high. If they work at all. I mean, isn't that the question with all of this? Yeah. But you have to assume, people have asked that question before, you have to assume the Russian missiles work. You can't assume they don't work because, right? I mean, it's, hang on, just pulling this up. You can't assume they don't work because if one of them does, then we're in trouble. Limited to 20 tubes. Yes, that's what Syndicate was saying. Limited to 20 tubes, force sealed by treaty. Correct. One second here, guys. What else we got here? Celia, is that your name? Thank you. Thanks for joining. Celia? I'm going to say Celia. That's my guess for how to pronounce your name. Thank you for joining us. Sorry it's late. I appreciate you being here. Sorry, Syndicate was weighing in too. So I think you all were agreeing about the number of weapons, Syndicate, I think. Hang on. Hang on. People are getting very geeky here. 18 Trident SNDNs, each carrying 24. See, that's what I thought. The Russians potentially have 18 Tridents and each carrying 24 missiles. I remember it being like 22 or something crazy like that. Yeah. Tridents. Okay. Thank you, Samantha. All right, we'll stop counting nuclear warheads. The point we have proven here is it's a lot of nuclear warheads. Estimated casualties would be a hell of a lot. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, the point is that we've got enough nuclear weapons to destroy each other. And because each of our forces, including the Brits, by the way, have nuclear submarines, it means that our weapons would survive even if the country itself were utterly destroyed. And that means in the end, if America got destroyed, we take Russia with us. If Russia got destroyed, they take us with us. And that is mutual assured destruction, as my name is Robert just pointed out. That is exactly it. And actually, Syndicate, we've got to remember to turn off the jokes, the Russian jokes, until I put new ones in there. Do I think the Russians stole the Q&A? It's a good chance. I mean, TikTok's been playing enough games with us lately. It certainly could be the Russians. 3.2 billion casualties in the event of nuclear war? Well, possibly. And make sure you keep hitting that little screen, you TikTokers, because you never know. It could be helping. All right. We're almost at 20 after. Let me see if there's another question that folks have. Otherwise, since we just discussed how many people would die in a nuclear war and how many nuclear weapons we have. Whew, thank you, Inspired Woman, for the crown, by the way. Just seeing are there other questions, like maybe another question to ask that isn't about, nuclear war and all of us dying. Yeah, I don't know what TikTok's doing. I don't know. Yeah, no, limited. The problem is, and can a limited exchange stay limited and blah, 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 and, all of that, right. All right, good night, Motec. Let me just see here. I'm trying to find one more question, guys, that isn't nuclear here. Got another question for me on TikTok? I'm trying to help you TikTokers, but that Q&A thing being gone is a total PITA. Total PITA. I see chocolate chunk cookie. I'm going back and seeing what the stuff you guys wrote. You're cracking me up. Well, okay, I'll answer that one. Do you anticipate the war winding down? Not yet. Not yet. At this point, I mean, jokes have been turned off. Thank you. The jokes have left the building. Oh, and they're back. And the porn spammer is back. The porn spammer. All right, I've blocked it, but make sure you report it, okay? I've already blocked the person, but if you could make sure you report them, folks, I'd appreciate it, because I can't report it on my end because I'm using Streamlabs. But I know Nathan's excited that our spammer is back. It's the little things in life that keep Nathan going. But make sure you report the accounts because that helps too. How this winds down, I mean, well, no, this will be my last question. So don't worry about putting question in front of your question because we're done. I still think, and I would like to see it get to the point where the Ukrainians are beating the Russians back and they're getting their land back. And that's what it should be. That's what it should be. Allie, don't abandon us. I'm kidding. You can go to YouTube, Allie. It's okay. But I think it varies. The thing is that we've got France and Germany freaking out because they don't want to be in this long term. Clearly. Okay. Italy getting there. The U.S., I think certainly Biden would be worried about that's true. I'll do a recap. Biden would be worried about a long-term U.S. commitment in terms of the cost. So that's clearly an issue, right? I mean, I can imagine that, but I don't know. I do know, but I wonder if it's going to be a tie between the Ukrainians getting their weapons and start pushing the Russians back. Actually, here's what I think. If Ukrainians get these weapons from us and they're able to start making significant progress and they are starting to literally push the Russians back and they are literally getting their land back, then I think it becomes very difficult for France and Italy and Germany to say, stop right now, right? Ceasefire because Ukraine's getting its land back. Would any of those countries cease fire if they were in the process of literally getting their land back? Of course they wouldn't. And maybe that's even what Biden's thinking. I mean, Biden might even be thinking, you know what? If we give them good enough weapons, there's a chance they start winning this war. And first of all, it puts Russia in a position where maybe Russia's willing to sue for peace. But also it shows the allies that, hey, these guys may be able to win. That's my guess. Amber Curry, since you bought a super chat question, I will of course answer it. Thank you for that. TikTok has this new thing where you can subscribe. Oh, I know that. Subscribe to creators like a monthly subscription. I wonder if that has anything to do with the Q&A. It might. The only thing is, TikTok, yeah, they have this TikTok subscribers thing or whatever. It's only rolled out to a few creators, not me. I applied or whatever that means, but it's also a little weird. Like, I'm not quite sure how it works and everything else, but nonetheless, that could be why they got rid of the Q&A. I don't even know. Maybe if you're a subscriber, you ask questions. I don't know. It strikes me as really, this is kind of dumb what they did. Yeah, it's really dumb, So, Noclador, I will Google. See, now I'm yawning. You got me yawning since we're at the end now. Noclador. All right, I will take a look at that for the thread. Okay, yeah, get us to 300,000 likes on TikTok, and then we'll be done. Okay, yeah, thanks, Amber. That's that easily could be what's going on, because they clearly, I could tell they changed some of the buttons and stuff too. It's crazy. I don't know why. It's annoying. Well, good for you, Johnny. I don't. Not in here. On my profile, we've got the Q&A, but not on here. Okay, guys, so this is the part of the show where we just hang out for about 10 minutes and just hang out and don't necessarily talk about the crazy, scary stuff like nuclear war, but we just more generally hang and thank the mods, and you are very welcome. Donovan, let me just see what Syndicate's saying, because Syndicate always has interesting things to say. To only give the subscribers access to subscriber badges, exclusive emotes, custom to right. That's exactly it. And subscriber only chat, which I'm not sure what subscriber only chat is, but yeah, I did see that. My day's okay. I'm just a little tired now. It was hot out, so I didn't do any long walks with the dog, because that would have been nasty. So I didn't see. Was there a verdict in the Depp case? I have not been watching the Johnny Depp case. I just don't care. It strikes me like one of those celebrity things where everyone's into it, and I'm like, I have made brioche bread. Yes. Thank you, Becky. I appreciate that. It's very good. Yes, brioche is very good and kind of goes. I only saw last night that there was a meteor. Well, the sky is okay. It's a little overcast, not entirely overcast. I don't know how it was last night. I didn't realize we had a meteor shower until I missed it. Being in a city does not thrill me. I wish to God I was somewhere, literally, I counted them in DC. I think I can count like 12 stars or something. It's ridiculous. I'm from Chicago, but I live in Washington, DC. Oh, recap. I'm sorry, recap. Yes. So the recap of the news. So the stories we hit today were that it looks like the U.S. is going to be providing a pretty well-liked mobile artillery rocket system to Ukraine. From reading the experts online, they were liking it. They have a pretty good guess as to what the system's going to be, and it's a very good system. We got 300,000. Thank you, TikTok. It's a pretty good system. It's a very good system. It is easy for the Ukrainians to use, much easier. Actually, I'll leave it at this. It is apparently better for the Ukrainians than the longer range system, because the longer range system is harder to use, harder to keep up, harder to train on, harder to move around, which is important because once you shoot the thing, you got to get it out of the way so it doesn't get blown up. So all in all, the experts are saying they actually think this is probably the best thing we could have sent the Ukrainians. And it's a big deal because it can go about 43 miles. It shoots about 43 miles, which is huge because that means the Ukrainians can start to hit a lot of the occupied territory without putting themselves in danger. So big story on that front. The U.S. has endorsed the Italian peace plan. I think the Italian peace plan is garbage, and I think the U.S. is endorsing it in order to suck up to the Italians to try to keep them on board, because the Italians, like the French and the Brits, the French and the Germans, are starting to get a little waffly on all of this. The Wall Street Journal reports that France and Germany do not believe that Ukraine can win and are increasingly objecting to providing better weapons to Ukraine. I left that part off. I forgot about that part. 82% of Ukrainians say they would never give Russia land for peace, even if it means prolonging the war. Poland is not planning to invade Ukraine. The Russians have been promoting this talking point that Poland is planning to invade Ukraine and steal half the country. It's crazy. Poland has been insanely good about helping Ukraine, the best of any country, I would say, at helping Ukraine. So it's ridiculous. I just can't figure out what the Russians are up to, why they're pushing this. Mercenaries with the Wagner Group, which is a Russian private sector, but still tied to the Russian Ministry of Defense contractors. They have killed hundreds of civilians in Mali, according to witnesses. And a Russian idiot picked his nose on TV during one of their broadcasts last night, and it was really funny because they were all talking about how they were going to kidnap the Western leaders and drag them to Moscow. And in the middle of their little tirade, this guy goes, and the camera was on his face, and it was glorious. So it made me laugh. So tomorrow, as I said, all week, Monday to Friday, we're going to stick with 7 p.m. just to see. Honestly, our numbers haven't really changed. I feel bad for the Europeans because I hate that the Europeans it's harder for them to do 7 p.m. Eastern, but it's easier for the Americans. So it's a real, Sophie's choice kind of situation here. So I'm going back to trying 7 p.m. tomorrow again, 7 p.m. Eastern time, which is 1 a.m. Paris time. So keep that in mind. I will set it up once we hang up here. So you'll be able to see it on my profile page on TikTok and on my homepage on YouTube. And you'll also see it. You'll see a Facebook post momentarily with it, and LinkedIn and everything else too. Best places to visit in DC. I mean, kind of the obvious though, I'd say, I have a few out of the way places. The Exorcist Steps are very good. There's a wonderful view of the Potomac from Georgetown that's kind of fun. You have to go onto people's balconies, but you can. So people don't know about it. So I like to take people up there. But otherwise, no, I'd say kind of the regular. The Lincoln Memorial is great. The Jefferson. Actually, I will say this. You do the memorials at night. I mean, doing them by the day is fine, but do the memorials at night, because that is the most glorious thing, is to see the monuments all lit up at night is really beautiful. Really beautiful. I just did it. Oh, God. Brittany, I just did the recap 30 seconds ago. I will give you the really quick recap. What really matters is the rocket systems, the missile systems that Biden looks like he is going to give to Ukraine. He hasn't said it yet, but it looks like he is going to be providing them. And the experts are saying they're really, really good, and they could make a huge difference for Ukraine, which is great. As folks said, you can go to my YouTube and watch, because this is recorded over on YouTube, so it's up there forever. So you can go to YouTube. It's John Aravosis DC. So my name with an H, John Aravosis DC, as in District of Columbia. On YouTube, you can find me. What Star Trek series is my favorite? Next Generation, of course. My favorite captain, Picard. Yeah, I did really like Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine got very, very good. See you, CB. Thanks for joining us. Deep Space Nine got really, really good once. I know it's too late for the Europeans. I know. The thing is, this is the time we used to do. We used to do 7 p.m. Eastern forever. And then, not forever, but for 2 months. And then when I was in Chicago, we went to 6 p.m. an hour earlier. So the Europeans got used to it, but I'm still playing with it back and forth to see what the difference is. What the difference is with so let's see. It's 3:30 a.m. in Greece. Is it that late? Anastasia, I didn't know it's I forgot you guys are that far ahead. Oh, although it is almost 9 o'clock. That's not, it's 8:30. Of course you're that far ahead. You're 7 hours ahead. Thank you for watching, although that's really bad that you're up this late. I'm going to be your, go to sleep. So, I did not even know the new season of Stranger Things was out. Okay, I will watch it. Deep Space Nine did not have space exploration, but the whole thing with the whatchamacallums in the East, I say, I'm comparing them to the Russians, was really good. That whole storyline is fabulous with the Dominion. Absolutely fabulous. Best island in Greece is tough because a lot of the Greek islands are very, are overrun with tourists. I mean, Santorini, I think, is the most beautiful. And I had memories of going there as a kid, and it wasn't as busy when I was there, because this is now, 45 years ago I went to Santorini, maybe. So, you know, it wasn't as touristy, but I liked it. It was just beautiful. And you got the archaeology and everything. But also the mainland for the archaeology. You can't beat the mainland, but you got to be into the archaeology. All right, guys. All right, I'm going to sign off because it's 8:34. I'm tired. I want to eat, I already had dinner, but I want to do something. Eat a little chocolate or something. But we will see you guys tomorrow. As I said, this week I'm doing 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't hate me. At the end of the week, I'll sort of decide where we are today, or Europe versus America. I've got you on both shoulders, like justice here, but we'll figure it out. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you all joining and all the gifts and the super questions and the funny little hats and everything else. You guys rock. And the likes, 28,000 likes on TikTok. Woo! Even though we lost our Q&A, which really threw me for a loop. All right, guys. 7, we're going to do... We may do 6:30 at some point. We may. But let's stick with 7 p.m. Eastern all week, and we'll go from there. Species 8472 was fabulous. I agree. Okay, let's do the bye-byes. When I see all the bye-byes in a row on TikTok, then I know this is caught up because I know it's slow. And on YouTube, you're always caught up. And Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and everything else. So thank you guys for joining us. Join us tomorrow. Join us. I always say us. I guess Sasha and I are an us. So join us. Thank you, guys. Thank you, mods. Thank you, Syndicate. Everybody, good night.